Hello everyone. I hope the voice is clear now. Okay, so we'll just have a quick recap of what we have done till now. Okay, yeah. Can you hear my voice? Is it clear now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Fine. Yeah. So we'll start with a quick recap of what we have discussed in the session 1 and session 2, and we'll go ahead with the further topics. So we were discussing about what exactly is SAP data warehousing, and we were discussing about the ERP concept. And ERP is actually a concept, and data warehousing is also a concept. That is what we have discussed, and we discussed about the solutions that SAP has given for ERP concept. Okay. Okay, so now we were discussing about the ECC system. Actually, like we discussed about the ERP concept. We have discussed about data warehousing concept, and we have discussed about the OLTP and OLAP concept. And these are the topics that we have discussed till now: OLTP and OLAP. And other than this, we have this ETL process. This we want to discuss today about the ETL concept today. So, and we also discussed about the multi-dimensional concept, how it works, and how the repeated storage of data can be stored only once and used multiple number of times again and again. Now here we have this, that's what we have discussed. We have discussed with the multi-dimensional concept. Let me know if you want me to repeat any concept that we have discussed till now. The concept of ERP, the concept of data warehousing, the concept of SAP, the concept of SAP R3, SAP ECC 6.0, and SAP BIW, SAP BW, SAP BI, SAP BW for HANA, okay, HANA database, and we have discussed about the HANA database, and we have discussed about okay, the overview of HANA database. There are a lot of properties of HANA database which were not there in any other database, which has been imbibed into SAP. So that's what we will discuss about that one as well. And we discussed about the multi-dimensional concept. OLTP versus OLTP versus OLAP is what we have discussed. What is the advantage of OLTP? What are the advantages of OLAP? What is the business process, business flow, and all these things we discussed. And we discussed that we also discussed about the differences that we have in OLTP and OLAP differences. And then we discussed about the multi-dimensional concept. Multi-dimensional concept. Okay, so let me tell you once again what I said in the past sessions. What I said is, like, I just said that if you are good with all these concepts that we are discussing right now, you can work upon any data warehousing solution in the world. It's not just SAP. Let's put SAP aside. I'm just telling you, even any software solution which is a data warehousing solution in the world, you can work upon it. Just the navigation will be different. So what I mean to say by navigation is, for example, you have a very good experience in driving a car in India. You can very well drive a car in US as well, but the only thing is the navigation is different. The gear system will be on the right side. Here you have it on the left side. There we have right side. So all these changes, there are certain changes that we have to focus upon, which will take some time, but not too much time. So it's always good to be in in this what do you call our in data warehousing concept. So data warehousing concept is universally a common concept that every one of us, every enterprise needs. Every enterprise, I repeat, every enterprise in the world needs data warehousing solution. Now it is up to the company whether they want to go for SAP's data warehousing solution or not. Data warehousing solution is mandatory. Just like we have, for a individual, how the what do you call, how a mobile phone or smartphone is has become very common. For every organization, uh, data warehousing has become mandatory. Now I repeat, SAP is just a company who come up with various data warehousing solutions. That is that BW, and BI and BW for HANA. Even if you go for outside SAP like Informatica or any data stage, any other tool, the concepts that we're talking right now, the concepts that we are learning right now are exactly the same. The concept of OLTP, OLAP, the concept of data warehousing, data compression, multidimensional concept. These common topics are all same in the SAP, SAP BW as well as other data warehousing tools in the world. So this is a very important concept when you want to get a break in any data warehousing solution in the world. Now the concept that we are discussing right now, ETL, is also common for all the data warehousing solutions in the world. Okay, so even if you are having a requirement of any data warehousing, see there will be some requirements like just data warehousing. Okay, so they later they will tell you what is the tool that they are using. If you are good in data warehousing, they'll take you, and they will teach you about that reporting tool or the ETL tool later point of time to you for you. Okay, let us start with what is ETL. ETL stands for extraction, transformation, and loading. ETL stands for extraction, transformation, and loading. Extraction, transformation, and loading. Now we need to understand what is extraction, transformation, and loading. Now, in any data warehousing solution in the world, we'll have this architecture. This is a data warehousing architecture, and this same applies to SAP BW, BIW as well. BW, BIW, and BI as well. So here we have this first thing is, okay, I'll not put the boxes here, so I'll just normally write it. Extraction is the first part. Then we have the extraction coming from SAP systems and non-SAP systems. Okay, I'll take it to the next page, this complete concept of ETL. Now, SAP applications and non-SAP applications. Now, these SAP applications and non-SAP applications we have here are like, first one is, okay, so we have ECC and something like APO and SCM, supply chain management. SAP SCM software will be there. Separate tool will be there for supply chain management. We'll have SAP SRM as well, supplier relationship management. APO is advanced planning and optimizing. These are all the sources from which we can get data. And non-SAP systems would be like any database. Like when you're talking about Java software which is based on Java, or software based on .NET, we don't talk about the software, we talk about the database. Where the data is getting stored, from there we directly pick the data from the database, and from flat files or from third-party tools. Third-party tools means directly the data will come from the Java tool or .NET tool or HTML tool. Directly it will come to the our BW or BI system. So this is one way. So these are the various source systems from which we can get the data, and that comes under the extraction part. That comes under the extraction part. In the extraction part, we have SAP and non-SAP systems. So we'll have SAP and non-SAP systems, and now we have the transformations. Okay, just 1 second. Okay, so these are the tools that we have from which we can get the data. So we generalize all the source systems as SAP and non-SAP systems from which we get the data. But when it comes to some data stage or Informatica, any other tool which is used by manufactured by some other software company, and it is used by some other uh, companies, then it might not have this SAP and non-SAP system. We'll have a list of all the source systems. These are the list of all the source systems. Only in SAP BW we segregate the tools as SAP and non-SAP systems. Then we have something called transformations here. In transformations, what we do is we do the mapping. We do the mapping from the source system to our target system. What is the target system that we have in this ETL process is the BI system. That's a loading. That comes under the loading part. Now in the loading part, we will be loading the data either in master data or transaction data. So here in the transformations, we have direct mapping. We'll have various topics here. First is like direct mapping. We do the direct mapping. Now what does direct mapping mean? Direct mapping means, let's say you have in the source system, in the ECC, we have employee data. Okay, let's say we have this employee number. Okay, employee number, let me write here employee number. So EMPNO. Now you want to map it to the target system as EMP NUM, direct mapping. No changes. Direct mapping, you have to map this EMP number to EMP number, EMP We just do the mapping there, and as it is, the data gets loaded into the target system. But then we have something called in this we have something called formula. Okay, so what does this formula, when does a formula comes into picture? Let's say you have in the source system, you have amount, the salary is in rupees, salary in rupees. Now in the target system, you want that salary in dollars because you want to make it as global. So let's say you are loading the data into the BW system from 14 different countries in which our client is doing business. For example, BMW is. So let's say we are implementing BW for BMW. They have business in many countries, so they have to maintain it in multiple currencies. So instead of that, in the BI system, they want to make everything into dollars, so something like that. So you have to apply a formula here. You have to write a formula that this source field into something, source field into something will be the target field. Okay. If you have any issues in my voice or in understanding this concept, just ping me. I will explain you with a different for a different example or in a different language. So I can use Telugu here, the additional language, so that sometimes some things will be skipped. So instead of skipping that, uh, I mean, like you might not be clear about that when I'm explaining in English. So maybe I'll use an substitute language and explain you again that. Okay. Now here, I hope these two are clear for you, right? So now let's say we have another example in the mapping, another option in the mapping, like we have something like the constant. Now, constant mapping, why we use the constant? Let's say you are loading the data from a source file, a particular source file. You are very clear that that source file, the entire source file is for India only. But since in the source system we were not maintaining the country as India, because the entire system itself is India. Okay, so when I'm writing the address in India, I'll not write finally I'll not write India. I'll write India only if it is going out of India. So now what happens is, if there is a system, let's assume that the source system is being used only in India, then that will be there. I mean, that will not be there. The country field will not be there in the source system at all. But here I'm taking all this into a single table. Actually, let us assume that there's a single target into which we are. So now in the target system we have to load the data as country, so country as India. Now what we do is we give it as a constant. The moment you give it as a constant, that particular field will give it as a constant. Okay, now that particular field will give it as a constant. Now what happens when you give it as a constant is, you get that, in the target system, but in the source system you don't have it at all. Hello. Okay, so this is about the constant, and then we have one more option like
Unmuted. Muted.
hello. Okay, fine. So we have this as constant. Now we have something called constant, and we have something called the fourth option is routine. I hope these three options are clear for you, right? So fourth option is routine. Now what do we mean by routine is, let's say you have you have city in your source system. You have a city. Okay, so now when I take these examples, these are all in the same source file, that's ECC only. They are coming in middle, so don't get confused that all these different fields are come from different sources. No, these are all in the same source actually. So I'm just taking an example. Let's say you have a city, and you don't have a state here. In the source system you don't have a state, but you have to enter the state here. Now how do you enter the state is, let's say you have a city like Hyderabad. Now if the input city is Hyderabad, then the state should be automatically loaded here as Telangana. You're getting my point? So here Telangana. So how do you do that? You have to write logic for that. If city is equals to HYD, then I mean, like, state is equals to Telangana, automatically it needs to be updated. So we have to write the logic for that. Okay, so this is what we do. Okay, so this is what we have now. So these are the various options that we have in the transformation. But when we are loading, the loading can be done in, the first thing is master data, second thing is transaction data. The first thing is master data, second thing is transaction data. Master data. The first thing is master data, second thing is transaction data. Okay, so second is transaction data. Now I'm going to talk about this master data and transaction data when we are good, when we have to load the master data, when we have to load the transaction data. What is master data? What is transaction data? This concept which I'm telling you about the master data and transaction data is universal. The concept is universal. You can apply it anywhere in the world, irrespective of even software. Keep software aside, even when you're maintaining some data also, you can maintain the data in the master data or transaction data. Now let's take a simple example of say something like mm, Big Bazaar. Yesterday Shashi has given the example of Big Bazaar, right? Big Bazaar. Okay. Okay, in the Big Bazaar, we have something like, let's say, the list of all the products. List of all products in Big Bazaar. List of all the products in Big Bazaar can be considered as master data. Now, the transactions, who purchased which material, how much quantity, and what date, and all these things will be the transactions. The transactions is called the item data. All the transactions. So the same data which we have will be keep on changing. Like in transaction data, we have the list of all transactions. So this will be like I mean, like this transaction data will be huge, and it will be changing every second to second, minute to minute, because in Big Bazaar, like, throughout India, if you have all the Big Bazaars all put together, transaction data will keep on updating every second. But the list of products, if you consider as a master data, this will not change every second. Maybe once in a day, once in a week, once in a month, the list of products in the Big Bazaar, entire Big Bazaar will change. Maybe there will be 2000 or 3000 different products, not more than that. So this 2000, 3000 products will be list of all this will be master data, and who purchased how, what material at what cost will be something which will be in the transaction data. Yes, Shashi, I'm doing it automatically. It is unmuting for one of the participants, or automatically unmuting whenever I don't know why it's happening like that. Okay. Okay, fine. Yeah. So fine. So we'll go ahead with transaction list of all the transactions. List of all the transactions would be the transaction data. So there'll be two types of data. One is master data, one is transaction data. If I'll take one more example, like school. In school, list of all the students. List of students can be considered as master data, and the attendance details. Attendance details can be considered as transaction data, which will change every day. So transaction data automatically changes every day. Okay, Is it okay? Shall I give few more examples of this? Master data, transaction data, is it clear? Clear, okay. Sharath, is it clear? Okay, fine. So there will be two types of data. One is master data, one is transaction data. So transaction data is something which will be changing regularly, and master data will not be changing. So now we need to get into the BI system. In BI system, up to BW 7.4. Okay, in BW 7.5 there is a different process here, but in BW up to BW 7.4 we have all the data being loaded in. All the master data will be loaded in master data text, master data attributes, master data hierarchies, master data hierarchies. So these are the different things that we have in the master data. Then we have transaction data. This is about the master data, transaction data. So transaction data, so in transaction data we can we can maintain transaction data either in DSO and cube. DSO and cube. The transaction data will be loaded in DSOs, either in the DSO or in the queue. Okay, so this is what we have. Master data will have the DSO and we have a queue. Data can either be loaded in DSO or it can be loaded in queue. So DSO stands for data store object, and cube is a queue. This is also called as info queue. Okay, info queue. Okay, this is what we have. Now DSO and queue. So master data, we have the text attributes and hierarchies. Transaction data will have the DSOs and queues. Now we will start the project one, in which we will be loading the data from a source system. Let's say our source is Excel file. Source in this particular first project is Excel file. So we will load the data from Excel sheet into TSA into Q. Okay, in the latest version cube will not be there. In that place we have advanced data, so I'll tell you about that later. So we'll have the data in Excel sheet, a normal Excel sheet. I'll prepare an Excel sheet and we'll have the data. We'll move that into PSA. What is PSA? PSA stands for persistent staging area. PSA stands for persistent staging area. So PSS stands for persistent staging area. Now what is persistent staging area is? It's a staging area wherein first we'll get the data there. We'll verify if it is if it's proper data or not. We just verify it and then we'll load the data. So persistent area is like an intermediate. Just like, let's say you are bringing the products from outside. Let's say there is an independent house with a compound wall. So what you do is, if you purchase something and bring it into home, you're keeping inside your compound wall, checking everything, verifying everything is correct or not, then you are taking inside the home. Okay, whatever you're taking inside the home is permanently stored, but what you are leaving there can be something scrap. You just want to throw something, you can throw it at the outside. This is what we can do. Okay, so clear with this concept? Persistent staging area is an intermediate area, just like I've given an example of a independent house with a compound wall. Whenever you're bringing the products from outside, you are keeping inside the compound wall. Keeping inside the compound wall is nothing but persistent staging area. That is not the area where you want to store it for a longer time. For example, you have purchased some television. Okay, you have purchased a television and you are just keeping inside the compound wall. You're checking everything, taking only the TV, and you are throwing away the boxes. Let's say I'm just giving an example. Similarly, you just verify everything is perfectly fine in the persistent staging area, then you load the data into the queue. So this is the place where we want to store the data into the in the BW. Okay, so this is what we have. Now for this, we have to first create the fields. So these fields are called info objects in BW. whether it might be BW, BI, BW for HANA, most of the terminologies are same. Only the changes which we have, I will tell you when I'm telling about the BW for HANA. So fields are called info objects in BI. Fields are called info objects in BI, and these info objects are of two types. One is characteristics and key figures. Okay, so I repeat, there will be two types of info objects. One is characteristics and key figures. Other than that, we have something called units and measure units and currency as well. That will come under the key figures only, that I'll be telling you. So we have, basically we'll have characteristics and key figures. Basically we'll have characteristics and key figures. Now in key figures again, we will have 6 types of key figures will be there. 6 types of key figures will be there. Now, what are the 6 types of key figures are? The first one is type amount. Second one is quantity. Third one is numeric. Fourth one is integer. Fifth one would be the date. Sixth one be time. So these are the 6 different key figures in which we can choose which one we want to use it for a particular logic. If you're let's say we are loading this employee data, in which we have a customer data. Let's say we are taking the customer data. In the customer data, our source file will be like this. I'm just taking only 3 fields here. One is employee number, employee name, sorry, customer, right? Customer number, customer name, and date of purchase. Customer number, customer name, and date of purchase. Okay, so these are the 3 different field names, and these are the 3 different fields for which we have to load the data. Now for that, these 3 are called info objects only. Any field is called info object in BW, BI, or any database. So here they're called info objects. So here we have to create info objects. Now before creating an info objects, we need to create a info area. We need to create a info area. Now info area is just like a package or a folder. It's just like a file. Okay, so file name. So I'll create this as IA underscore web process, and it should be not more than 8 characters. So I'll go for VIP. Okay, IA underscore VIP, and inside this we need to create 2 things: info object catalog for characteristics, then we'll go for info object catalog for key figures. These are mandatory. These are all folders kind of thing. So I'll create this info object catalog for characteristics as something like info object IOC underscore VIP. Okay, info object catalog for key figures, I'll create it as IOC underscore IOK underscore VIP. Now just for our naming convention, it's up to you which one you want to make it. What naming convention you want to use is up to you, but in their project, in the technical specification, it will be very clearly mentioned what should be the info object catalog name. Okay, info object catalogs names will be very clearly given there. This is what we have. Now under this info object catalog for characteristic, we have something like IOC underscore VIP is what we'll create, and we'll create one info object called customer number. So customer number, we'll do it as IO customer number, right? CUNO underscore VIP. Then we have customer name, CNO underscore CNA underscore VIP. Okay, so this is what we have. Customer number underscore VIP, customer name underscore VIP. So we can give it as CNA, customer name. Now these two we want to maintain them as a characteristics, and then key figures. In the key figures, we'll maintain only one thing, that is date of purchase. Date of purchase, and that is C and O, C and customer CUS underscore DOP. Okay, CUS underscore DOP. Customer number underscore date of purchase, CUS underscore DOP. Now we have three things which we need to create. So to create these three fields in SAP BW, customer number, customer name, department, date of purchase, we want to create these three things in our system. So for that, what are we doing? We are first creating an info area. We're first creating a info area. What is an info area? It's just like a file. Okay, it will hold all these things. Okay, it will be like a, you can think of it as a folder. You can think of it as a package, or if you think it is a anything. Okay, so in that we'll hold all these things. So info object catalog for characteristics is what we are creating first. Then we are creating info object catalog for key figures. What is the technical specification? Okay, what is the technical name? I'll put all the technical names in some other color. Let's say okay, okay. Now these are the things that we have to create in our BW system. Okay, so all everything that you see in blue is what we need to create in the BW system right now. Shall we go ahead and do it? Can I proceed and build these things in BW? Okay, so let's go ahead and do these things now. We need to create this info area. We need to create this customer number, customer name, and then we have these things. We'll do it in the BI system, BW system. So for this, we need to first go into, once we log in, I'll tell you how to log in and all. Now, RSA1 is a transaction code that we need to use. So what is the RSA1 transaction code? RSA1 transaction code is for data warehousing workbench. RSA transaction is for data warehousing workbench. So we need to go for RS7 transaction code. So let's go into the system, go to the RS7 transaction code. That is called, that RS7 is a data warehousing workbench. We can do everything from here. Okay, so we'll go for data warehousing workbench RS7, and from here, what is the first thing that we need to discuss? We need to create. So we thought of creating a info area, right? So let us go ahead and create an info area. We need to click on this info objects, and here right click on this info objects, create info area. So in this info area, what is the info area that we have proposed? IA underscore VIP. We process info area. We process info area. Right click on this, create info object catalog. Now in this info object catalog, we have IOC underscore VIP. Characteristics for process character. Just say OK. Now in this, we have to go ahead with the activation. We are not doing anything. We're just creating a info object catalog. So if you see here down the line, last one is our info area. We created an info area, and then we created a info object catalog for characteristics, that is IOC underscore VIP. Let me once again show you that file. So here, this is what we have created now. We created this IOC and we have created this info area IA underscore VIP. Then we created IOC underscore VIP. Now we will go ahead and create IOK underscore VIP, that is a key figures. Let's do that now. So right click on this, create info object catalog, and then I will prepare it as IOK underscore VIP. We process key figures, and then we need to select this key figures, say OK, create, and then we just need to activate. Now we have successfully created two things now. I mean three things actually. First we created an info area, then we created info object catalog for characteristics, then we created info object catalog for key figures. Now in the info object catalog for characteristics, we need to create a info object. Okay, info object. We just need to create a info object. So, I'm muting. I becoming unmuted. No way. Okay, so here we have we need to create info object, and here in the info object we'll create it as something like CNO underscore CNO, the customer number underscore VIP. Customer number, so let's say customer number. Okay, in this data element we have characteristics and length 10. Right click on this, create info object, CNA customer name underscore VIP, customer name for the process. So what are the things that we are doing here is we are giving the data type, that is I'm giving it as character, and length I'm giving it as something around 10 or 20 or something like that. So I'll randomly giving the length of that field. So I'm giving the length as 20. 20 means because customer name normally will be 20, right? So I'm giving it as 20. So we have created this. Now we will go ahead and create a key figure. The key figure that we have is this DOP underscore. What is that we have proposed? We proposed it as CUS underscore DOP. Okay, whatever. So CU and CS underscore DOP is what we have proposed as a key figure. Now remember, I have told you that there will be 6 types of key figures: amount, quantity, numeric, integer, date, and time. Now we will be taking it as date. Okay, because it's a date of purchase, we'll be selecting it as date. When we get into the next screen, it will ask you, okay, you want to create a key figure, fine, but what type of key figure you want to create create is what the system will ask you. So we'll go ahead and create a uh, data type, I mean like a key figure of type date. So we have it as CUS underscore DOP, customer date of purchase. Just say okay. And now since it's a key figure, for characteristic it was asking you the length and data type, right? Here it will ask you the 6 types. 6 things will be there. Either of these 6 you have to select. Since it's a date, we are selecting it as date of purchase, DOP. Now once you have done it, you have to select it as YYYYYYMMDD. This is what we have to select and activate. This is done. So this is what we have to do. Okay, so we have created the info area first, then we created info object catalog for characteristics, info object catalog for key figures, then we created 2 characteristics, and then we created one key figure. These are the things that we have done. Okay, so any doubt till here you can ask me. Okay, Sharad, did you understand this concept?
Yeah, sir, it's clear.
Okay, okay. Narendra, did you understand? Fine. So here we have this. Okay, so here we have created these things. Now what we'll do is, going forward, we'll be creating a cube. We'll be creating a cube, and that cube will be loading the data. So till we create a cube, it's considered as modeling. Modeling means we'll create container. Okay, just a table container is what we'll be creating in the modeling. And now after the modeling is done, we'll be loading the data. For loading the data, loading the data is called extraction, and transformation will be having in the loading part. Okay, so first we'll create the container and then we'll load the data. So we are still in the process of creating the container. Creating the container is not yet over. So after creating these fields, now we have to go ahead and create a cube, that is a container. Okay, so from here we'll continue in the next session tomorrow, same time.